8 to 10. Each one of you is free on Friday, 8 to 10? I am free. 8 to 10. So, that's IR. And about the rooms, if you are all fine, as far as I'm concerned, for that particular day, I'm fine. If you are fine, isn't it? Manvesa? Yeah. This was the first that I wanted to sort out because we are always tukukokana ndiku kuchano ku admin. So, getting back to our business. Can I just ask, is there anybody who can remember what we did last time? Just briefly. What is it that we did? It was an introductory discussion, isn't it? You weren't there. Oh, this is first time. Whoo. You are not first time. What about you? First time also. You are also first time. Or you were here before. Okay. That being the case, I'll be a little bit kind. Tuone kuti kodi tinayambira pati. Okay. So, quickly, we will not spend too much time on things we did already, but just to recap, first and foremost, we wanted to know the aim of the course, the actual aim of the course. It was specified that the aim is to enable students to develop an understanding of the legal framework of industrial and labor relations. In fact, as we get along, you will see that these two words, labor relations, labor law, industrial relations, industrial law, they are interchangeable. Sometimes it's just a matter of preference why you are calling it this and not the other. Secondly, if we want to find the legal framework in these relations, we also want to impart to the students or participants with the knowledge of labor law and how the laws affect the industry and labor. You know, when we talk of the industry, industrial law and labor, this, they said, is the aim of the course. In other words, you are preparing yourself to understand what happens in a workplace. In a workplace. What will happen after this session is that I'm going to share with you. See, you have that group, the notes. Ready? I'll share you with the notes. Secondly, the objectives. What they hope you will be able to do after you have finished the course. You should be able to do a number of those things. Discuss the role and the importance of industrial relations. Why is it important? 2, discuss trade unions. You know trade unions? What is their role? How do they operate? Also provide solutions to disputes. Your colleagues were privileged because I told them of my background. You weren't here. I was once labor officer. Na naso mpaka regional labor officer maboma 9 kuchoka hapo I was chief labor officer mukumvese pamene ndaigwira hapo. Then I was on loan to MIM. You know MIM? School of Government, they call it now. I don't like it. School of Government? No. MIM was fine. I worked there for almost 12 years. Then I worked in a USAID project. Now, after we have done industrial disputes, we would like for you to understand what we call collective bargaining. You know collective bargaining? You bargain for wages, for terms and conditions of service. Bargain. You know bargain kwa mwenye? How much is this shirt? He says 1,000. You say, no, I've got only 500. No. Taonjezerapo ikale 9,000. Here I have got only 6 and so on. You see what you mean? Until you end up at 7. He goes happy. The mwenye is happy and you also, you are happy. You bargain it. But there are tricks to the bargaining. And then you should be able to analyze unrests. You know, there's these 2 things. One, we call it unrest, and then we have strike. Do you think these 2 are the same? Do you think they are the same? They are not, eh? They are not. Can you try to differentiate? What do you think is a strike? If and how call a strike? What do you think it is? They are unrest or they are on strike. I'm saying the 2 are different. Eh? So ukati antu alipa strike, what do they do? Okay. And unrest? You know, the unrest is emanating from the word rest. You know, you rest when you are tired, you want to be settled. It. Unrest ndiye kuti si kupuma ya. Now, this one has a lot of what you call force used. Unrest. Uponya miala, kugenda magali moto, mkumvesa. While this one, you are expected just to walk and demonstrate solidarity and you show placards and that kind of thing. That's the difference. So when you are dealing with unrest, the how to resolve it will be different. When you have a strike, how to resolve it, it will also be different. This is usually calling for people sitting down and negotiating to say, how can we resolve this dispute? While the other one, amakabweresa jani, zimagari moto za polisi zije, what do you call them? Kuza kutirira ni mazi with tear gas. You see? So those 2 are different. Then we call it tripartite arrangement, where one, we want to find out the role of government, in industrial relations. 2, the role of trade unions. And 3, the role of the employers. Those 3, they are very important. You should know what they do in terms of industrial relations. And then you should be able to comment the legal aspects of industrial relations and disputes, and comment on benchmarking with the ILO. When they say benchmarking, what do they mean? Someone tried benchmarking? If you benchmark, usually in construction, you remember timakoma zikwangwane kuti anthu azindikire kuti tayeza tafika paka hapo and so on. So benchmarking, it means connecting with the ILO to find out what ILO is doing, what it is giving as advice to countries. So the role of the ILO will also be covered. Those in brief are what they would like you to learn in this particular course. I think now you understand where you are, isn't it? You can actually see how you are going to be able to function wherever you are using what? Those expectations. Now, if we have to go on, then we are saying, I as your instructor will be looking at those things. 1, these are just the beginning. I gave in an introduction. Secondly, we looked at what is industrial relations and what are labor laws, those 2 issues. And then aim and objectives of those 2. We looked at them, right? After that, we looked at how others look at industrial relations and how it interacts with their organization. In that vein, we would look at industrial relations importance, because out of importance, we are going to find out how industrial relations operate in their context. And then we will look at the scope of the relations. When we say the scope, what do we mean? Scope. Scope meaning how expansive or how widespread is industrial relations. Where can we actually apply industrial relations? So we capture all the areas that apply industrial relations. After that, I think that's where we are supposed to have stopped last time. After that, we are supposed to look at trade unions, their objectives, role, importance. We will also look at government measures from the point of view of Ministry of Labor, the Labor Commissioner and labor officers. What do they do? We are going to look at labor management, the role of personnel and industrial relations manager to promote the establishment of peaceful industrial relations or work environment. One of the most important things about industrial relations is that without the labor laws or industrial laws, there would be no peace. I will just quickly show you what I mean. Can I rub this? I think this one we have already sorted out. I'll give you something which you should always remember because it comes again and again. We always talk of measures for orderly behavior and conduct. Do you understand what I mean here? If I say measures for orderly behavior and conduct, you understand it? There is usually a continuum. A continuum is saying you have two extremes. If you have two extremes, one is very flexible, if one side is flexible, the other side will be what? Very rigid. Rigid? You understand rigid? You can't shake. There are some people who you can't negotiate with them, even a mwenye. Bwanji ndi 600 aliya in 1000 basi. Ngati ulibe, alibe ndarama choka. Very rigid. When you have rigidity, very difficult to negotiate. Then in between, we are saying there is a continuum, very flexible, very rigid, or if it is flexible, very flexible, it means soft. This is hard. So here, usually we have norms, practices. Then somewhere here we have rules. Then here we have regulations. Mngona. After that we have laws. Do you see the continuum? One is very extreme, very flexible, the other one rigid. Then at the apex here, we have the Constitution. Have you ever known of the Constitution? Not very easy to do what? To change. Very rigid, hard. So when we are talking of measures for orderly conduct, when we use norms and practices, these are the softest part of our concern. Usually, I will tell you, is someone, can you blame someone who is failing to kugwada popeleka moni? Will you, if someone refuses to do that, what will you do to him? Eti amai. Inusimu maka gwada agogo ankuro akama pasan moni magwada. Komangati simu na gwade hodu redu. Ama kumangani. Very soft. Norms, practices, rules. Ngati ufuna chitoi uzibwera 8 koroko. Ndira murotu. But it is not as hard as the others. It's a rule, they can even give you some sanctions. You know sanctions or penalties. But you can get away with it. But when you have regulations, this must be done, whether you like it or not. It means they expect you to follow to the letter. Normally, nizija tukuona chani, police, pamseu, chan. Those are regulations which are documented. You shouldn't do, don't do this, don't do that, and so on. Now, measures for orderly behavior and conduct become laws when they are actually passed in Parliament. And when they become laws, you know what happens? If you break it, what happens? Mangidwa. It's now becoming very, very tough. Right? So the labor laws are here. That's where they are. Right? The rules, regulations are in between. The rules are here. These are the practices. The Constitution. This is where you have seen akati zikola kuti alanda boma. Nimamvapo zimene masiku ano zikuchepa koma kale ife akulu ku West Africa uku inali ngati nkhani ya daily. Akalanda boma, the first thing they do is to suspend the Constitution because it's one of the most difficult things to change. They can't just change it. So by force, they suspend this Constitution so that they can deal with the situation anyhow they want. The Constitution. So what is contained in the Constitution, you can't just easily change. Yeah? Let's hope it is not going to start giving me problems. So, by way of introduction, I was saying, this is what we will cover at least for some time as we get along. For those of you who are coming in for the first time, I think 2 of you, any questions? No? Nothing, madam? No. Okay. So, by way of introduction, I introduced the subject by saying, when we look at the economy today, we can see that success of any business will depend on the quality of its people, which we call human resource, isn't it? If those people have to contribute to your organization, you must make sure they are of high or good quality. The real aim of that human resource will be to make sure that the industrial relations effectively and successfully helps to manage the organizational resources, which includes human resources. It is part of the measures for orderly behavior and conduct. In other words, other people, thank you. Sorry, we didn't have any room, so I was told to come here. Yeah. It's okay. 9. Apa? Course is Rose. Okay. That's 10. That's it. Mkanangu nditengera kwenye shiti ija ya Nyamata ija. Oh. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So, as we are saying, orderly behavior and conduct depends on the quality of measures for making sure there is orderly and conduct and behavior. So in human resource management, industrial relations becomes very important, and it is usually defined as the relationship between workers and employers, and it is also deals with relationship between labor and management. Yes.
If maybe I myself am in an exam.
Yeah.
You've given a question. You've run in that situation. What if I use that one?
Which one?
In this relationship, refers to relationship between workers and employers, and it also includes the relationship between the labor and the management.
Okay, I would like to clarify that, because even in my area lectures, I told you what he's doing is the correct thing. He needs to clarify himself so that he doesn't mix up it, right? Here we are saying in human resource management, which is a discipline, when they talk of industrial relations, the term defines the relationship between the employer and the employee. In other words, the boss and the subordinate. You know the relationship between a boss and his subordinate. You can see it clearly between Bwana, who is general manager, and his driver. Is the relationship clear in that context, isn't it? Driver akangoona bwana kubwera kutamanga okatsegula chiseko. Si chencho? It tells the kind of relationship. But we are also saying, yes, it is also dealing with the relationship between labor and management. Now, labor. What is labor? Yeah? Workers. The difference between employees and labor is that labor is broad. You know, employees, it assumes, when you say employees, we can put it here. Employees assumes that there is boss and subordinate. Mwamvesa pamenepo? But when you have labor and management, you find that among labor, there will be some people who are not employees. Do you agree with me? Yes. Eh? Like who? Aganyu. Pali aganyu, ama contracti, all those are part of labor. So labor becomes bigger. Even we have terms like contract of service, mukumva contract of service, and contract for service. Are these the same? Mzilemba zimenezi zimaza bwera pasogoro. Because when you are talking of contract of service, it means you are engaged to provide certain services to that person which are under his control. Mwambesa, somebody has given you kanshito. If it is contract of service, where you have subordinated all your efforts to work for that person. But contract for service is like this. Ndikatenga suti kupita nayo ku laundry edi ndapeleka mundichapire ndikubwera mawa kuzatenga. That is contract for. What I want is the service. I'm interested only in the end product. Whereas the other one, you actually control. So, when we are talking of labor and management, the relationship is boss and what? Where labor is not necessarily just employees, it's wider, it's a bigger group of people. Right? Are we clear there? So, did you now understand? You did, eh? Yes. In fact, I am of the opinion that when you have some of these concepts, try to understand them other than what you call cramming or memorizing what is the meaning or something, but understand what it says. Because once you understand, it sinks into your head. Now, definitions. These definitions normally, they are standard, so we get them from whoever has done it. Industrial relations in HRM is a term used to define the relationship between workers and employers, and also deals with the relationship between labor and management, just like we said it. You remember? Whereas when we go to labor laws, we look at them as constituting labor codes, code, like code of conduct. You have heard of code of conduct? Muzivara chocho. Kale amatu code of conduct in Malawi, no miniskirt, chancha, mukumva, yo musana badwe. Kamuzu ndaya kamuzu siunga vale miniskirt. So it's a labor code of conduct and behavior, or they are called employment laws, which help in mediating in the relationship between workers, employing enterprises or organizations, and trade unions, with the government being involved as a third party in a tripartite structure. We are going to discuss that when we come to discuss the role of government. Okay? At least for now, you should know that industrial labor laws put in a structure or a kind of framework within which these three main areas of interaction in economic activity can play. We also look at labor laws as a body of various laws applied to such matters as remuneration. What is remuneration? What do you think is remuneration? Is salary remuneration? Salary. Wages. Okay, we need to start getting to know these things. One, I think this is done. One thing that we can say here is simple. When you find these words coming, you should know what they mean. Remuneration, right? Salary, wages, allowances. What else? Piecework payments. Bonuses. All these join. In fact, they are called remuneration. The other word they use is compensation. Package. You understand? So when you look, you find words like remuneration, just know it is talking about all those things. And some of them, when you look at them, they don't mean different at all. Like when you say wages and salaries, is it not the same? What do you think? They are different, eh? Okay. What is the difference, do you think? Okay. Salary usually is fixed per month. Wages is per hour, per day. While salary, each month it is fixed. So when you go deeper, you find that there are some differences. Piecework, have you ever understood that piecework payments can be different also? Aganyo. Ajimweni ndikupangireni hapa, mundipa sandrama zingati. Ndili nayo ni 500 basi. It's piecework, eh? And it is so flexible. When you have plenty of money, you can pay 5,000. When you don't have money for the same work, you can pay 500 once. You know bonuses? No problem. Bonuses. Others have what you call 13th check. You have heard of 13th check? 13th check. There are some companies who pay up to December, they pay 12 months, eh? But in December, they pay an additional 1 month. To cater for what? Do you know what that 13th check is for? Think about it. What do you think? Why should they pay a 13th check as if they have worked 13th month? What is it? You have some knowledge? Okay. In December is when a lot of people expect what? To spend a lot of money. Eh? Simuli ma holiday ana skuru cha. It's the how it is organized and administered. That's what is becoming a big problem to people. People think 13th check, it means this company has got too much money. It's not necessary. It's not necessarily that they have too much money. Yeah. But it's how to organize it. Now, I will tell you what I used to do when I was with the a USAID NGO. When you come to look for a job, we tell you, this is your salary. You sign a contract, this is your salary. When you have signed, we tell you to say, out of this salary, there are a lot of things that happen. We deduct tax, we deduct this. Then, we, in the head office, put there, sitakupa salary, let's say 500, let me put a very good figure, let's say 60,000, right? But in our head office, we know this man, with his qualifications and everything, I think he deserves 72,000. Mukumvesa pamene? So we offer to you 60,000. We hold back how much? 12. That 12 which we have held is what we pay you in December as a 13th check. Mukumvesa bwino bwino. Have we lost anything? No. In ourselves we know that this job is worth 72,000, but we offer him 60. So you see, this company is very good. He might pass a bonus from December. It's your money. Okay? So that's about the definitions of industrial relations and labor laws. As I said, it's better for you to understand now, then when you use the words in future, they become almost automatic. So there is remuneration, conditions of work, trade union matters, as well as industrial relations. So when we look at what labor laws are there for, that is an important list. After this, I think this is where we left off we left off at this slide with your colleagues. Are you able to see? You can, eh? Can you read to us 3:1? 3:1.
The aim of industrial relations.
Mm-hmm.
Industrial relations aims at bringing understanding and explaining the complex variations in the conditions of work, the degree in nature of political participation in making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
The law of labor unions in other forms of worker representation, and the patterns of operation in conflict resolution that occur among workers and
Okay. Have you understood what it says? When you look at what industrial relations or labor relations are supposed to do you understand from that statement? You do. Yes. It's just a compression of exactly what we have been discussing. It is compressed into that statement. And then, how is that aim to be achieved are comprised of in the objectives. And those objectives include, 1, to safeguard the workers' economic and social interests. Do you think this is true? Industrial relations is to make sure they can protect the workers' interests. When somebody is employed by a company, he promises to pay wages, isn't it? But how are you sure that this guy is going to pay? So you find that industrial relations and labor laws will help the worker to get his interest, social interests. Also, to contribute to the economic development of the country through productivity. I hope you understand that. If you are employed in a farm as a farm worker, are you contributing to the national development? You are, isn't it? What about if you were a messenger in a company? Are you contributing to national development? What do you think? Yes, you are. Everybody contributes. I'll give you another scenario, or what I would call a question. Do you all pay tax?
Yes.
Does a laborer pay tax? He does. Is there anybody who does not pay tax? There's none, eh? Some people think that if you are going around in town doing nothing, not working, it means you are not paying tax. No, so long as at some point you buy a sweet or something, there is tax there, isn't it? Yes, you buy bread, you buy this, there is tax there. So everybody contributes to the economic development of the country. To establish a full employment situation, here we are saying the desire of any country is to have full employment. Everyone must be able to contribute to the economic development of the country. In socialist countries like Russia, China, there's no one who doesn't contribute anything. Everybody is employed. There's full employment there, in whatever form, because they believe if you go to the hospital, you must get medicine. If you go to this, you must do everything. You are getting something from the country. You should contribute something as well. So full employment, they make sure everybody, even prisoners.
I heard that in North Korea.
Yes.
Kim, the president,
yes.
changed the rules there. If your father is a farmer, you're going to be a farmer the rest of your life.
Yeah. But do you know why he said so? To make sure that everybody is what? Yes. If you're a farmer, your father is a farmer, you must become a farmer, full stop. Because they are going to be sure you are not going to escape. Akupunzise bambu wako. You should be a farmer. So, full employment. To minimize strikes, lockouts, unrest, etc., etc., by producing good working conditions and fair wages to the workers. You know, if the organizations all came together and they paid nice wages, good terms and conditions of service, you find that there will be peace, no strikes, no unrest. Examples we have, like Japan. You know, the culture of Japanese is very, very unique. You know, the Japanese believe ukayamba nchito is for life. You know, if you start work for a company, it's for life. That's why that company, when it has employed you, it's almost like it has employed the whole family. Anako, akazako, anako akakarandi birthday, the company gives you birthday card, birthday cake, it celebrates with you. You yourself, when you are sick, the company does it. What a lot of things. So people don't like not to have any employment at all. They want to be employed because they want to benefit from the terms and good terms and conditions the companies give. When you do that, if someone wants to destabilize the situation by saying, "Tien tikachite strike," you will say no. Why? We are happy people, isn't it? Good. Also, to resolve industrial disputes whenever they arise in industry. Lastly, to ensure the development and advancement of progress of industry by bringing about the existence of harmony and cordial relationship between the employers and the workers. So you will see, when we are talking of labor, the nearest meaning to labor is worker. Mamvesa bwino. When we talk of labor, the nearest meaning is worker, because a worker can be an employee, but he can also be not an employee but working for you, because he's providing you with service. So that's where we left off last time. I still went through this because I did want our colleagues to hang in the air. But don't you think you have benefited? Those of you two of you who were here before. It has been like a review of what we went through. But for now, we can go a little bit further, right? How do these other people understand industrial relations? Now we are getting deeper into understanding of the workings of industrial relations. First of all, we know that it is concerned with systems and procedures used by unions and employers to determine the reward given to workers for their work effort, in return for of which the employer gives wages and other conditions of employment. So now industrial relations, at first we were just saying concerned with relationship, situations. But now we know it goes beyond that. It also has in it systems and procedures. These systems and procedures must be put in place for industrial relations to work. As part of the systems, you see that on that diagram there is the tripartite structure I was talking about. You remember? We have employers and their associations. Do you know which one it is in Malawi? The employers. Have you ever heard of ECAM? ECAM? No? Oh. ECAM okay, we will see. Apple, they have just described it. Here I'll put ECAM. ECAM is Employers Consultative Association of Malawi. Are you able to write that one? Employers Consultative Association of Malawi. All big companies in Malawi who are registered are what we call members of ECAM. and it is obligatory so that government can be able to control how they operate, how employers operate in Malawi. Are we clear there? Then we have this one is the state government or state or government. This is government, right? So here under government we have Ministry of Labor, labor officers, we have other government institutions, right? Then here we have trade unions. You see the tripartite we are talking about? This is all part of industrial relations. This thing pakatikati hapa is only mechanism in which industrial relations make sure these participate. It's a mechanism in which these participate and discuss what is needed in industrial relations. Are we clear? So, to protect the socio-economic interests of the employed and the business interests of the employers, industrial relations will put up regulations and ways in which the two each other interact. The three, sorry, not the two, the three interact. When we talk of the two there, government is the one that puts the mechanism in place. Kaya mkumvesa? Mukumva pamene? Government puts the mechanism in place. Like what? Labor laws. This government becomes part and parcel of the tripartite arrangement. But those things they put together as labor laws is to make sure that the employer and the workers can have a relationship, cordial relationship, how they can interact with each other without exploiting each other. So that is the idea behind it. Right? So, if we have to go on, if we have to understand finally, as a beginning, we see finally, we see industrial relations or employment relations, whether you say employment relations or industrial is the same, is the complex and multidisciplinary academic field that students like you, the employment, that studies the employment relationships between employers and workers. It constitutes a body of complex interrelations between workers and employees, employers and employees, labor or trade unions, employer organizations like ECAM, and the state or government in a tripartite structure which I have just described there. Up to this, do you have any questions? Yes. Complex.
disciplinary.
Mm-hmm.
Academic field that studies the employment relations.
Repeat your question.
What does that mean?
Hmm?
You should explain what it means.
Oh, when I say it's a complex interrelationship between employers and employees, eh? I should explain. Okay. Why it is complex is that the employers themselves is a complex organization. Is that not so? When I was doing commercial law somewhere, I gave them a pyramid. Within the organization, a pyramid where you have people at the top and people at the bottom. The organization itself is a complex organization. When you go to the employees, they are employed by the employer, isn't it? But they also attach themselves to trade union, which has a hierarchy also, which is complex. They have the Secretary General of the Union, the Chairman of the Union, and it's an organization on its own. So the two are complex. When you come to government itself, is also a complex. Is it not? I've said in government you have Minister of Labor, labor officers, labor commissioner, and the people involved and so on and so on. It's also complex. So, industrial relations is trying to bring all these complex, multidisciplinary, because the discipline here is not just labor. When we say multidisciplinary, there is the government, there is trade unionism, there is trade union and employer organizations and so on. Each one of them have their own interests which they articulate. So it is multidisciplinary, isn't it? Do you agree with me? You are skeptical. So have we understood now? Our friends who haven't come here today is who and who? The two. The two? Okay. I want to find out whether I should continue, because if I do, we'll start getting deeper and they will be left behind. What do you think? Huh? Yes, I'm going to share you all the slides. Yeah, I will give, you have got your WhatsApp group, isn't it? I'll share you all the slides. Yeah, I'll share you all the slides. Why I don't want to go beyond this, because we'll start now dwelling into another very complex area, but maybe this should be the last slide, if ever, for today. Importance of industrial relations, I think it's almost obvious. Do you understand by high morale? The workers. With proper industrial relations, the workers are happy. Amagwira ntchito ndi mphamvu. If they do that and they do work well, they develop interpersonal communication. Interpersonal. You know, trade unionism, at some point, it reaches a point where you develop personal relationship among yourselves. A chair, a treasurer, whatever. So it does develop interpersonal relationships. If you are all working well with the organization, it reduces disputes because you are discussing, isn't it? You know, what happens sometimes is that there have been instances when there is no trade union, you just have employer and workers. This is what happened in 1993. Who was born by then? None of you. Right, madam. Mnali msana bado eh? 1993, that was one of the biggest, what we call unrest. You know unrest? You remember the strike and unrest. Instead of a strike, it was unrest because there were no trade unions. Strikes, people come together, tiachite force yantuwa, tigwirizani, tiauze zovuta zatu. Unrest, they just come up and start throwing stones and that kind of thing, and the government didn't know what to do. Mukumva, it started with the city of Blantyre. In fact, it started that thing. You know Mapeto wholesalers? David Whitehead. Mnamvapo David Whitehead. Amaomba salu. Eti mai simguziwa. Zambia. Kunoko mmati bwanji salu za kuno kumalawi. Mmadija? Za kuno kumalawi. Timadija? Rapa. Whatever it is. That company was government-initiated company. It had over 3,000 workers, but they were exploiting the people. When they started striking, in fact, they were not striking. They had an unrest. So a lot of people were clobbered, put in jail, and then it spread from David Whitehead to city of Blantyre. And haku city chi company cha boma ichi chabi na also kuyamba unrest. They were throwing stones at cars, what. By the time it went, I think it went on for about 4 to 5 days. Government didn't know what to do because workers were not organized. They were not physical trade unions who could do a good job. So, I told you I was a labor officer. See, Jones? I was seconded to MIM. You know secondment? Have you ever heard of secondment? From government as a labor officer to go and work at MIM, which was a management institution. The idea was I should go and teach government officers what to do when things like this happen. So we started teaching them, you must accept to have trade unions. I taught at MIM for 12 years. Mukumva? Unrest. So, we want to reduce disputes. And then industrial relations helps to empower employment. What happens is that without the union, people are weak. They don't feel strong. They are weak. But when they know kuta akatipanga chipongwe a union akatana akatimira, the employer is afraid. So it empowers employment. It reduces wastage, yes, because sometimes without unions, without the workers following what they are expected to do, sometimes they can be wasteful to the organization. Continuous production, yes, if there are no unrest, there's peace, there will be continuous production. Employee productivity, in fact, when they are doing wages negotiations, the employer asks the trade union leaders, if we give you more wages by 10% to your people, what are they going to give to us? So those people will come up with their figures, okay, we are going to increase our productivity per person. You know, production and productivity are different. Do you agree? Who is doing economics here? Anyone? None? You are studying. Okay, I'll just give you simple example. You have a production line. 5 people are making 60 bags. Okay? That's the start. 5 people making 60 bags. It means one person is making how many? For a certain period of time, limited period of time. How many? 60 bags, 5 people. If we want to know one person, how much is he making? 12. 12, eh? 12. Tukumvana pambeni po? Is it 12? 12 each. Okay? Now you are saying, no. I think we have employed too many people. Can we reduce them to 2? And they are still producing 60 bags. It means one is making how many? Here. 2. Instead of having 5, we have only 2. It means for the same period, same input, it means each one is making how many now? 30 bags. When you want to compare 1 and 2, where is productivity? Where is there higher productivity? 2. Do you agree? Do you agree? In terms of production, it's the same, isn't it? 60 bags, 60 bags. But productivity per person, the other one is higher. In fact, given enough resources, we can make more people. If now, using that formula number 2, if we have 5, we're going to have over 100 bucks, isn't it? Yeah, so productivity becomes very important. And then the last one, uninterrupted production. When we talk of uninterrupted production, the main thing that we are talking about is if there is no unrest, no strike, people are happy, they are well paid, the terms and conditions are good, will that not be good for the nation and the country? It will, isn't it? Yeah.
What you said about high morale?
Okay, moral. Ife takulira panthawi yathu koma masiku ano inuyo mati moral tanthauza cha.
Morale is like we are supporting you.
Hey. Anyway, moral. Ena mango kayana chimva kwa ndani moral. Moral. What it is that when people are happy, the expression of happiness, good living, and so on is shown, isn't it? That is high moral. Being happy, being satisfied, being contented, that is high moral. But if people are unhappy, you know, when people are not happy at all, that one is the opposite. Yes. This subject, industrial relations and labor laws, it's just unfortunate that there are a lot of internal jargon. Jargon, you know what jargon is? Which does confuse sometimes the meaning of what we want to know. But don't be confused by that meaning. Just be consistent with understanding the concept. Once you are consistent, no problem. Kazamveka? Yeah. Any questions? I don't want to continue after this. Any questions now? What will happen up to where we have stopped? I'm going to share you all the notes, including I think you gave me your email addresses, except for the two of you, or you are on WhatsApp as well. You wrote, a group. Oh, that WhatsApp group. Then no problem. I'm going to share you. And probably I will also give you texts which you can read from the library. Yeah. So if there are no questions, somebody should collect that. Go and collect that student attendance sheet. So you are also on the WhatsApp group? Pajazina? Linda? Let me see. Did I have her name? Okay. We had Justin, Michael, Loveness, Timothy. So you are Linda. Linda who? Linda. Your phone number? 09 090 yes. 030 49 58. Second name what ndani pacho? It's a double barrel name. Mvula kumapeto. Sona mvula. Ona mvula. Kuna mvula. Hey. Kuna mvula. Hey. My friend, your name? James. Yes. James who? Let me hear. Kachidiko. Kachidiko. Your number? 099 64 93 93 93 920. Okay. Thanks. Oh.
I think that's the last day, Major. Ways, I think that's for last
Oh, they are all at home now. Oh, you just put your name. I'm at number one, I think it starts from here. Number one, your name and your signature somewhere.
time.
Google, don't worry about that. That's when. So now we have discovered that if there is room, if all rooms are full, we can use this one. So long as it is empty. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much. Do you like industrial relations? You do? If you like it, it's a source of you becoming a politician. I'm not joking. Some of my friends are politicians because yeah. Yeah.